Howdy, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda, A Lock Between Worlds. On the last episode, we were told to make haste to the Eastern Palace. Asfala might be in danger. Asfala, Sara Hasala's apprentice. Apprentice? Apprentice. We're going to go with apprentice. Might be in danger because he's one of the Seven Sages. Seems like Yuga might be going after the Seven Sages. And Asfala, one of the descendants of the Seven Sages. So this enemy right here is a crow. It's not a Gwei. I've always thought it was weird. Also, Octoroks. Octoroks looking like how they looked kind of like in the, like the official art for, you know, Zelda 1, like weird octopus monsters as opposed to like the cute, like cuddly versions that the sprites look like that they sort of made a lot of them end up looking like, which I really like the design. Yes, but a crow. Crow and not a Gwei. So this is the thing that's confused me because sometimes the enemy... You know, the crow-like enemies are called crows, and sometimes they're called Gweis, and I always wondered what the difference was, why they use one name sometimes, but not all the time. And looking into it, you know, obviously it's just because they're different enemies. The crows are supposed to be crows, and it seems like the Gweis are supposed to be more like vultures, I suppose, and that's the difference there. It does seem like sometimes they are different birds, though, because, like, I saw one, like a Gwei in I almost said Skyward Sword, and I'm just kind of going off. Also, Tektites, they're bugs. They jump at you. Also, weirdly, these weaker ones are blue instead of red, because normally it's red are the weaker ones, blue are the stronger ones. But here, I believe later on, spoilers in the video game, we'll see some red ones that are stronger. In Skyward Sword, the Gweis kind of still look like the shoebill, shoebill horn bird, whatever it's called. Like a smaller version of the birds that you fly in Skyward Sword. It's like a shoebill something. I can't remember what it's called. Yes. So we can see some switch-like objects and some hieroglyphs and strange signs depicting something, but I'm not sure what it is. And it's a little hard to tell because of, you know, we don't have the power of stereoscopic 3D, but those are on a different plane from us. So nothing we can do but read the sign. Hey, are you the adventuring type? Then I have got the items for you. Visit me south of the castle, Ravio. We don't want anyone else to know about these items. We want to take them for ourselves. We are the adventuring type. We are heroic and such, so we'll go ahead and claim those. I do like seeing these kind of Octoroks, like, you know, the ones that look like the Zelda 1 sprites are kind of the GOAT. You can't go wrong with them. But, you know, even so, this is still a classic look for them. Also more like what they looked like in A Link to the Past, so makes sense why they did what they did. Welcome home, Mr. Hero. You said it was all right to stay here, so I've made myself fat. Huh? What happened? Okay, so hieroglyphs exist. I don't know how to read. This is a problem. Oh, what's that? You saw my signs at the Eastern Palace, did you? And you couldn't read them. That's a shame. I was going to open a store near the palace, but when I saw all the monsters, I hightailed it out of there. Way too many monsters around there for my liking. You get me? But I seem to recall some stone pedestals near my signs. Did you see a symbol on them? Oh, you did? Do you remember what the symbol was? Was it... Or was it... It was probably... I think that's what the symbol was. That's right, it was... wasn't it? No, let's stop horsing around here. That's my face. Why would someone mark the pillars with that? Maybe you're very important, Ravio. Maybe I need to take you to the Eastern Palace and swing you at the... You know, if I pick you up, you know, by the sequels rules, Triforce here... Also, I just noticed that Shiro's also kind of doing a shrug. That's funny. By the sequels rules, you could get on my back and, like, kind of slap the... Or not on my back, on my shoulders. We could make a little totem and you could slap the buttons for me. That'd be useful. It was a bow and arrow. It was the... Remind you of anything? Like maybe this? You rented the bow. Don't forget you can aim on the go. Nice rhyme there. Normally I charge you a rental fee, but I'll lend it to you for free. This time anyways. But I'll be taking it back if anything happens to you out there. What does that mean? That's awfully ominous. I hope my items will prove useful to you, Mr. Hero. Bye, Shiro. You can't talk to Shiro. You know, I just had to check. The talk thing appeared a little too close to Shiro, and I was like, there's no way you can talk to Shiro. Ah, yes. A stamina gauge. This is the... Oh, energy. My bad. This is the energy gauge. It depletes when you use items and recharges over time. If your energy runs out, you can't use items until it replenishes. Try it out using the you just got. No, I don't want to hear the explanation. So, in this video game, instead of having to like collect arrows and such, you just have this energy gauge. I'm probably going to keep saying stamina though accidentally. And once it runs out, you can't fire it until it refills, which is very cool. And you don't have to like, oh, how many arrows do I have? Oh no, I'm out of arrows. Got to go get arrows. It's a very cool thing that I really like. I feel like this is one of the conventions of Zelda that was rethought. That quote by the director, which we'll actually be talking about a bit in a moment. Also, this is something I'm a little jealous of. I've mentioned it on and off over the years. Also, who would have guessed? We got to use the item we just got to hit those switches to be able to move on through. That stamina gauge. I've been wanting to make a Zelda-like game for a long time. Nothing we can do in here for now. And I just haven't. I've just been sitting on my hands. First I was distracted by school and then work, and it just hasn't happened. It's a shame. Hoping to get started working on it soon. That's not the point. The point is, one of the things that I had thought about for my Zelda-like video game was, oh, hey, having to like collect items and stuff can sometimes be a problem. You'll run out of like, oh no, I need arrows in this situation. You're out, and then it's just a pain. Also, it's Armos. I think we fought one of them, but it's Armos. That they pretend to be statues, and then you beat them up. You get it. So one of the things I had for my game that I thought was real smart was I came up with a stamina gauge like this for item usage, and kind of made a lot of the game work around it because it was like a magic meter, and then it was like, oh, well, this stuff's like magic and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when this game came out, I was like, oh, shit, that must have been a good idea because Zelda did it. Did we get everything over here? Obviously, there's some chests that are tempting us, but I don't believe we can get to the... Actually, we can get to that one. I probably shouldn't run back for... Actually, can we get to this one? Oh, yeah, we can. I don't know why I didn't come up here. Especially since there's... Oh, no, so many Armos to fight. Whatever will we do? Oh, I almost, was talking about that stamina thing for so long that I almost forgot a point I wanted to make about this area. So, I want to talk about the graphics for this game. First off, you might notice that if you look, maybe you think maybe Lonk's standing a little strange. I'm not sure if it really shows. The perspective in this game is very interesting. So during the development for this game, obviously this is a top-down Zelda game. At one point they realized, oh, since it's top-down in 3D, we're just kind of looking at the top of like everyone's heads. It doesn't look all that visually interesting. So they decided to do a little, or actually before I show this off, here is an image of what it looked like with, top down. Like it's probably already been on screen. I don't know why I was like, no, I need to say this. So there is a perspective trick that they used, and it looks like this. So everything in the game is at this angle to kind of give you this kind of more like sprite, like look at a front of a sprite with these like 3D models, and it's a very neat and fun trick. It's a cool little visual thing. They talk about it in the Iwata Asks. A lot of the developer things that I pulled from were from that interview, and I'll be talking about that as we go. How about we get into the dungeon before I talk about the next graphics thing? Not that we're going to go into a dungeon or anything. You, stop where you are. What are you doing here at the Eastern Palace? Oh, my apologies. I thought you were someone I'm looking for. Aren't you Lonk the Third? You're the blacksmith's apprentice, all right? What brings you all the way to the Eastern Palace? Okay, so magic is real, and there's this guy, and you might be... Vile deeds at the sanctuary? My master sent you to fetch me back to safety? Wahaha! This Yuga you speak of, surely he's cause for grave concern. But why should Sarahasala, whom's name I can pronounce because I am his apprentice, be worried about me? I'm a descendant of the original 7 sages. I'm just as powerful as they were. I even got myself a sand rod, so I'm more or less invincible. Bold talk, you might say, but it's simply the truth. Have you ever seen One Piece? Sir Crocodile, invincible. No one has ever defeated him. As far as I know, I'm not very far into the series. Also, as you can tell, I rented this because it has the hat. I suppose we'll talk about the hat in a moment. I didn't really point that out. I'll get to the bottom of all this Yuga nonsense now. Farewell to you, Lonk the Third. And then, Asfala doesn't heed our warning. Also, his official art appeared on screen. So, as you saw, his sand rod had a little hat on it. And so does ours. They have little Ravio hats to, denotate that they are in fact rented. It says rented bow right there as well. What does that mean? That means whenever we fall in battle, if we run out of hearts and die, don't have any fairies to revive us, you will lose every single rented item that you have. It just goes back to Ravio. Shiro comes and like picks them up, and you'll have to go re-rent them. Hopefully we won't see that, but we just might. So, oh no, it turns out we have to go into the dungeon. Whatever will we do? So the Eastern Palace was also the first dungeon in this little game you might have heard of called A Link to the Past. The dungeon invokes a lot of that, like with its layout and such. What is happening here? I'm not exactly sure. Oh, right. There's a switch over there. I wasn't paying attention. So a lot of like the layout like is set up like this. Like when you come into this dungeon and A Link to the Past, there's this forked like entranceway too, and a lot of the dungeon kind of invokes its architecture. And a lot of the lessons you would learn, like you get the bow and arrow there too. That thing I just killed is a popo. Is that important? No. Did I, for years, just call them Tangalas? Yes. Am I going to call them Tangalas now? Probably not, because I know that they're called Popos now. So it also, Popo's a pretty good name. No reason to call them a Pokemon name for no reason. Like this right here. Like, oh no, there's all these balls coming at us. Like this is like a thing just straight from, A Link to the Past as well. Every once in a while a big ball comes out and you gotta dodge. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Speaking of simple, so also speaking of simple, here's a simple trap. The graphics in this game are pretty simple. A lot of people say that this game's kind of ugly, and I have to say that I don't entirely disagree. Well, actually, I'm going to disagree, but okay. Let me back up. I think that this game, if you're playing this game on a 3DS, a lot of like Link's model looks a little ugly. I feel like this game benefits a lot from like the up-resing that the emulator has offered us. Also, because this is a Legend of Zelda game. Didn't mention it, but of course, you can spin attack. I feel like this game benefits very greatly from like the up-res. Like, obviously like the textures and stuff all look, very nice. It's not a bad looking game, but on a 3DS, it gets very pixelated, and, the models just end up looking a little ugly. So the up-res does it does it really well. But the reason for the simplistic graphics, on the 3DS, they could have made the graphics a little higher fidelity, but they decided not to because they were shooting for they were shooting for 60 FPS. I'll talk about that in a second. The compass, you might have noticed that we already had a map as soon as we entered the dungeon. That's just one like little convenient thing they do for you in this game, where they just go ahead and give you the map. You don't have to collect a map at all, but you do get the compass. Compass reveals chests and some focal points on the map. That's what it do. And this thing's going up and down, so we'll go ahead and just shoot. Oh, I shot a little too late. Would have preferred to have shot the top one first, but it's fine. It's not like it's a, short timer or anything. Also, you might have noticed that I ran in the other room. I ran into like the wall. They do a lot of thing of playing with like the perspective to be like, oh, tee-hee, here's an entrance that Lonk would be able to see, but you, the player, cannot. We can only hold one fairy, so we'll just go ahead and grab a fairy on our way out and leave that one fairy there to be alone forever, I suppose. Which is kind of sad. Cannot break the net. Wasn't sure if we could. So the graphics, they were aiming for 60 FPS. Apparently the reason they were doing that, it's funny because, 60 FPS obviously, is kind of like a standard that a lot of people like to go for because, it looks good on our human eyes. Also, your net deals damage. Uh-oh. I mean, I guess we have a fairy, so it's not too bad. And we have the perfect defense of just being able to swing our sword very fast in multiple directions. Like, really, like, if you're ever surrounded, like, by enemies like that, doing a spin attack for the first one's probably wise, but it takes a second to charge up. So just, like, mashing the button and just spinning in directions, like, it's the ultimate defense. This thing is a halfway point for the level. We'll warp you back to the beginning. If you need to leave the level for whatever reason, you can do that. It doesn't really aid us here, though. I suppose I could actually stop the beep beep. Oh, yeah, I can stop the beep beep because the hearts in these are gone because I popped the pots, so they're just not there anymore. Yeah, I was hoping that we could get a fairy. I suppose it'd probably just be faster to turn around at that point because I was like, we could cross that room and then I'd probably somehow end up eating it against. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say that's fine, but we're still with we're still in one-hit territory. It's just we're not beeping since we're taking 2 hearts of damage. We'll go left first, just because that's always my first instinct. First instinct is to get as close to being dead as possible. Let's actually, before we go upstairs. So they were aiming for 60 FPS. Obviously, you know, people, the FPS, 60 FPS is a benchmark, not benchmark, but like, it's a thing that a lot of like action games and stuff strive for. Apparently the reason they wanted 60 FPS in this game is so you could use your stylus to select items with the touchscreen. It's a feature that we actually don't have right now, but eventually we'll be able to like quick select items on the touchscreen. And apparently that was their whole reason for shooting for 60 FPS, which I think is pretty funny. So they had to keep the graphics pretty simple for the 3DS to be able to render these graphics, because, you know, it's not that the 3DS isn't like, you know, 3DS isn't like super powerful or anything, but it isn't like weak. Oh, monster guts. These are crafting thing. Use them for crafting potions. We'll get into it later. Whoops. Oh, indeed. Lonk. Luckily there was a heart in there. We're still at like 1-hit range though, just because I keep blundering into these like just cannonballs that are rolling around. But the 3DS, you know, it's not weak, but it's also, you know, not terribly strong or anything. But the reason why the graphics had to be so simple to hit 60 FPS is on the 3DS and the boss door, a little too high up for us to get to. The 3DS, if you turn on the 3D, the way 3D works on the 3DS is it's stereoscopic, which means the way it makes 3D happen is it renders 2 images and then offsets them on the left and right slightly. So when you look at it at the right angle, it creates the like illusion of like 3-dimensional depth, which, you know, it's cool and all, but that also means that the 3DS could be in situations where it has to render the same image, you know, twice. So the graphics to hit 60 FPS had to be simple enough to be able to be rendered twice. And what can we do in here? Oh, there's one last switch. I was like, did I forget something? There we go. Now we can open this door, because we need a key before we can get a move on. Oh, we missed. Oh, okay. We missed the big platform, but we have a small platform. This is a pretty standard Zelda challenge where it's just like, oh, you're gonna go around in circles and these things are gonna shoot arrows at you. Try and defend if you can. With the bow and arrow, you can fire at a diagonal like you saw me do. Oh, and of course, now we have to wait to go all the way around. You can fire it at a diagonal like you saw me do. Oh, they stopped shooting. That's convenient. Like, I feel like, I'm not sure if this is the right dungeon, but I feel like in Oracle of Seasons, the, what is it called? The Explorer's Crypt? No, Explorer's Crypt's, it's the level 7, the spooky ghost one. I feel like this arrangement, or a similar arrangement, is in that dungeon. I'm not sure if that's correct. That's just kind of a called shot. Did I finish my graphics thing? I think I finished it. Yeah, you know, it might have to render the same thing, 60 FPS, so they had to kind of simplify the graphics a bit. And, you know, with the 3D, like, it's like, 3D, what is this? A Link to the Past? I almost called the first episode that, and I was like, I probably shouldn't do that. And then that joke has just taunted me since. I was like, I have to say it. I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to say it. So these are Stalfos. They jump away from you. I think if you let you knock them back. Okay, maybe these don't do it. Because like some Stalfos, like if you swing at them, they'll jump back and throw a bone at you. But these guys don't seem to do it. So the way you kill these guys is you bully them. You just swing at them, and then you can back them into a corner. Or if you just like approach them after they jump back, you can just follow them and then hit them, even if they aren't in a corner. They're not like terribly difficult enemies. Later Stalfos will, when they jump back, if you don't go and get them quick enough, they will throw a bone at you. Something to be aware of. And we've seen the entirety of this dungeon, aside from that right room. It seems like you could have gone either way. And since we didn't, oh shit, I probably should have hit that while I was up there. Ah, it's fine. We're gonna go back anyway. Oh, whoop. I almost just straight up ran into that cannonball. I think these are technically considered enemies. This is something I mention like every like Zelda LP I do, because there's certain like traps that are considered enemies, and it just tickles me like to no end that like these are considered enemies and their like enemy name is Ball, which I don't know why, but that just always gets me. It's very funny. So yes, so obviously we could have gone left or right from that room. It didn't really seem to matter which way we went, so I'm guessing we'll probably get some more crafting stuff in this room. And the idea is like, it doesn't matter which way you go, but, you know, of course, we're going to go both ways. Why wouldn't we? You know, there's stuff to be had, and we're going to get stuff, even if... Well, actually, I was going to say, I don't know if we'll end up using all our crafting stuff. I normally don't, but here on Hero Mode, you know, we're taking 4 times the damage I would normally take, so it might be in our best interest to have as much crafting stuff as possible so we can make some potions later. It'll be probably come in handy, because potions can heal more damage than a fairy could, because I feel like a fairy, when it brings you back to life, it brings you back with a maximum of 5 hearts, I feel. Whereas, like, potions, I feel like potions, like, even the worst potion heals, like... Oh, I need to be one more up. Even the worst potion heals, like, 8 hearts. So, potions are always going to be better than fairies. It's just fairies are a nice fallback if you accidentally die. And also, fairies tend to be, you know, plentiful. Let's just check the map, because pretty sure we've gotten everything. Like, we don't see any chests or anything. Oh, no, I forgot to change my cursor. Oh, no, immersion ruined. I'm so sorry. I had to change my cursor back, because that, the cursor that I use for this game, the click point is at the very bottom of the feather, just so it made sense to me to, like, click that way. But also, you know, the standard mouse has it in, like, the top left. So I like to switch it back when I'm not playing, and I forgot. Whoops, I'm so sorry. The Let Us Play is ruined. I have to scrap it all. Huh. After all your posing, all your preening, just look at you now. Now, my fine fellow, prepare to be made into my latest work of art. You'll have a privileged place in my collection of sages. Also, this is fun. This is kind of a little reminiscent of when you see Agnum turn the maidens into, like send them to the dark world to be turned into crystals at the beginning of A Link to the Past. Aha! An excellent painting. What a knack I have for capturing the smallest details just so. Oh? Who? You're that wriggling worm I saw at the sanctuary. What? Have you come to challenge me again? I don't have time to coddle would-be heroes. But since you insist, I will oblige. Oh, well, that's great. Oh no, the door. I'll just shoot an arrow into you and then hit you with the sword. So the way Yuga works, Yuga's going to warp around. Cast magic. He can summon guards. That's bad. I didn't actually know he could do that already. So if you try to approach Yuga, Yuga's just going to hide in the wall. So, like, watch. He's going to come out here, and I'm going to get close to him. Oh, no, he's not doing it. We can hit him with our sword. Oh, shit. He has more attacks than I thought he did. Yeah, normally he tries to run. Yeah, see, he tries to run away from you. So, obviously, you've seen the trick here. You shoot him with the... You shoot him with the arrow, and he... Oh, and that also stops his magic. That's convenient. Shoot him with the arrow, and then you can walk up and you get him with your sword. You know, it's the first boss. You know, even if it's Yuga, who seems to be like a big deal, you know, even Yuga's... Oh, we killed him with the arrow. Even Yuga gets first boss. Enough of this. You're going to spoil everything. You forced my hand. I must brush you aside. Because I use a brush as I'm a painting wizard, you see. And just like that, Lonk becomes a painting. Nothing but some scribbles on the wall. What a sad, drab painting you make. You can rot there for all I care. And then he, you know, properly fucks off. Now onward, my collection requires even more perfect paintings. Oh, how I long to hang that exquisite Princess Zelda on my wall. Yep. So, it's a short game, an interesting game. Makes you think about, you know, oh, you know, if a bad guy can just chump you like that, you know, sometimes you just lose. You got to think about the role of the hero. Or maybe something could happen. Perhaps somebody could press the A button. Also, I love Lonk looking down, like, as the painting, like, still fully sentient, is blinking, is like, can think, apparently. We normally don't get a close-up look of the painting like this. I like how you can see, like, the weird, like paint smudges in it. It looks very cool. But wow, isn't it a miracle? somehow we were able to remove ourselves from the wall. And it's all thanks to the power of the smell of wet dog. So Ravio wasn't kidding when he said, like, hey, this is a proper ancient relic. And, you know, it wouldn't be a proper ancient relic if it didn't have some magic power. Ravio's bracelet saved you? But how? Anyway, it seems that you can now merge into walls. That anyway is carrying a lot of weight there. Wow, it saved you. What's up with that? Anyway, you can do this on command now. Let's pick up our heart container. Always good to have these. So, merging into the wall. This is the main mechanic for the game, and also, you could, it's an energy potion. It refills our energy. You could very correctly say that this mechanic is why this game got made. So I want to talk a little bit about the development of this game. So development of this game began in 2009 after Spirit Tracks finished, and when it was first, the development first began, there were 100 rupees, lucky you. There were 3 developers on the team. There was Hiromasa Shikata, the director, the one whose quote I keep bringing up, Shiro Mori, who was sub-director / programming lead, and somehow an unnamed programmer, which to me seems ridiculous that they're like, oh, it's an unnamed programmer. We don't know who it was. Like, I'm assuming that something happened and there's some beef there, and that's why it's an Wait, there was Whoops, I fell off. There was rupees up there. Oh, you know, I think to get these rupees, I would have had to, had I come out of that room on the left, had I gone to the left instead of the right like I did, I could have come over here, got these. But also there's a blue rupee over there. I want to see what's happening with that. Maybe had I... Yeah, what's happening with this blue rupee? How would have we gotten this blue rupee? Did I... Oh, you know what I probably did wrong? Because we came out of there to the right. I bet if we had kept going, we would have gotten that blue rupee, and I just dropped down too early. So that was my fault. It seems like we could have gone that way to get the blue rupee, but had we come over here, we get like a blue rupee. Yeah, we get more stuff. So, whoops, my bad. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It seems weird that you know, there were 3 people and just one's like, oh, it was an unnamed programmer. So I imagine that they know who that was and something happened there. So, you know, they had this 3-man team to think about this game. And they had a lot of, like, pitches for what this game would end up being. What is that over there? It's like a treasure over there. Oh, of course, we need to use the mechanic to get over there, obviously. They had a lot of pitches of the game, and Miyamoto kept, like, just shutting them down. Like, there were a lot of, like, kind of very whack-sounding proposals, to be fair. But, you know, Miyamoto kept shutting them down. And then at one point, I believe it was the unnamed programmer, and also we're back at the beginning of the dungeon, and there is a new treasure here for us that we couldn't have gotten before because it's through a crack in the wall. Another 100 rupees, lucky us. I believe it was the unnamed programmer who had the idea. It might have been Mori. I think it was Mori had the idea for wall merge, but they ran into a technical issue with it, and it was the unnamed programmer who figured it out, and I'll continue this in one moment. My lad. I don't remember his voice at all. Oh, my lad, you finally found your way back to the Eastern Palace. But what of Asfala? Okay, so remember how I told you magic was real. So no, you guys taken Asfala too? Worse still, he now has 2 of our sages. Okay, so he's gonna go after... and that fiend said he was going after Princess Zelda next. We mustn't let that happen. Mustn't we? Mustn't we let it happen, Sarahasala? My word, what was that? You know, I'm thinking it was him getting Zelda if I had to guess. Are we too late? Something dire is happening at Hyrule Castle. There's no time to waste. Okay, so we're just gonna, you know, warp over there, you know, take a little fast travel that we don't normally have the ability to do in that capacity. Wink. What's going on here? Or I guess, what's going on here? Luckily for us, Sarahasala is a wizard, can do a little bit of magic. Unfortunately for us, not a good enough wizard. Yuga, better wizard. That barrier! I've never seen such magic. I daren't approach it. But we must break through somehow. Princess Zelda and Lady Empa are trapped inside the castle. Listen well, Lonk III. We must turn again to the legend of old for our solution. These abominable... Oh my god, abominable. It's been a long day. These abominable events are an echo of what happened all those years ago. It's a link to the past, one may say. Then, when the castle was in the grip of evil, the hero of that day found the Master Sword. The hero first had to claim the 3 pendants of virtue to prove himself worthy of the blade. But there we are already thwarted, for one of the pendants is inside the castle with Princess Zelda. Oh, what a quandary. We need her pendant, but there's no way to get in. What's that? It can't be. You're wearing... That's the pendant of courage. What in Hyrule are you doing with it, Lonk the Third? Okay, so she gave it to me because I'm... Oh, she gave it to you, a special charm. Yes, I'm gonna... Oh, wait, I thought I hit A. How right she was. She must have sensed the evil in Hyrule and the rise of a new hero to meet it. So... Is it you? It must be. Why else would the princess have given you the pendant of courage? She knew you would need to get the Master Sword. Well then, my young hero, you've got quite a quest ahead of you. You have to find the other 2 pendants. One pendant has been enshrined in the House of Gales, and the other pendant in the Tower of Hera. I will mark those spots on your map, Lonk the Third. Breaking out the red-colored pencil, not a crayon. What? You got the pendant of courage. Good thing the princess thought ahead. It is a good thing she thought ahead. Almost like she might be a little magic or something. Do I want to... but first, it seems prudent to save before taking up such a quest. Care to do that, young hero? No, I'm good. Well, it was just a thought. It's the wisdom of the ages to save every now and then. I shall head home to search my library for clues who the other 7 sages of our day might be. So for now, it's all up to you, Lonk the Third. Yeah, what a surprise. Also... Now that Yuga's magic has overtaken the castle, the vandalism can come to life. It's running completely amok. These enemies, by the way, are just called soldiers. Like I think like this guy's like spear soldier, and the other one was like short sword. Or I think those are sword soldiers, because they're also like short sword soldiers. Like I think like the ones that Yuga summoned were short sword soldiers, and we'll start seeing like them kind of like out and about. And we'll stand over here so we don't have to hear the wheel. So where did I leave off? Yes. So they prototyped this wall merge, and I believe it was Mori was like, I couldn't get it to work when you round a corner. And I think the unnamed programmer was like, oh my god, just let me do it. It might have been the other way around. I'm not sure. Hey. For all I know. I can't remember. I didn't write that down. But they got that to work. They showed it to Miyamoto, and then that was like the okay, this is approved kind of moment. They might have shown it off to Enuma first. I can't remember. But that's what got them approved for this. But that was 2000, they started in 2009. I don't know how long they went. So once they cemented that this game was going to happen, it was like, okay, cool. But before they could start development on it, they got pulled into Wii U development in 2010 because Nintendo rightfully were like, oh shit, we don't have a lot of Wii U software, huh? We need more developers on deck. So core development for this game didn't begin until 2011, and it actually took a while for those 3 team members, maybe the unnamed programmer didn't come back, I don't know, to come back into the fold on the project. So core development began in 2011. The connection to Link to the Past wasn't made until May 2012, and keep in mind this game came out in, November of 2013. So this game, for having, a 4-year development, really only, got 2 years, and it seems like a lot of it really firmed up in that last year, which is a very interesting thing. So before we end the episode, I'm trying to think if there are any other points I wanted to make. Oh yeah, some points I wanted to make. I've remembered them, and by that I meant I looked down at my notes. So Yuga's name, whenever it's written in Japanese, I've only seen it written in what I believe is katakana. But Yuga's name is derived from the Japanese word for oil paintings. But there's this kanji, or I guess there are 2 kanji. I think you still say kanji even if it's multiple. But these kanji read as Yuga, and it means elegant or graceful. I imagine this is related, but I can't say for sure. I assume it is. I don't have the Japanese knowledge to say so. And also, here's some more art of Link. So I showed you that Link art. There's also Link art with the wall behind him with, wall merge Link. I didn't want to show that off right off the bat I mean, it's on the cover for the game. You probably already knew about the main mechanic for the game before coming in, but I didn't want to spoil it just in case. And also, it's kind of interesting because now we can show it alongside this. This was E3 placeholder art before, I guess, the art was finalized. It's hard to say like what stage this was in because I believe, yeah, this game would have been announced fully in like 2013 because I was playing A Link to the Past at the time, and I remember getting excited about it being announced. So it was announced at that E3, and they hadn't finalized like all the art, so they showed this art for Link as opposed to what the art style ended up looking like. So it seems like a lot of this game kind of came together pretty quickly. Like, I mean, imagine stuff like art and like that, like character stuff. You could kind of leave it to the end, like like, oh, like gussing it up. So like, oh, here's our like ones that we can actually show and such. Oh, one more point. So you might have noticed that Sarah Hasala gave us 2 places we can go to, the House of Gales and the Tower of Hera. Another convention of Zelda that has been changed. We can go to either of those Zelda dungeons. We can go to either of those dungeons in any order we want. We could do Tower of Hera and then House of Gales, Tower of Hera. I normally do House of Gales and then Tower of Hera, and that's what I'm going to be doing in this playthrough, because the Tower of Hera was the 3rd level in A Link to the Past. Also, something interesting, the Desert Palace used to be one of these levels, but instead there's a new dungeon, new dungeon. I'm putting air quotes around that because to say that, the Eastern Palace that we went to wasn't a new dungeon isn't true. It's different than the Link to the Past, but the House of Gales is like full on, like there's not an equivalent in A Link to the Past. So yes, we'll be going to the House of Gales, then the Tower of Hera. So that's this episode. That's an episode, baby. Next time, we are going to get prepared. So we're going to get prepared so we can enter the House of Gales, and then the episode after that, we're going to enter the House of Gales, and the episode after that, we'll do more stuff. And the episode after that, we'll do even more stuff. Wow. Incredible, right?